Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nuganomics with David Toulis.
Steve Bontekoe of Heritage Harvest Farms, which distributes the fare of 9 Mennonite farmers in the area, is a man who is providing bottom-up solutions to a problem. The problem is industrial agriculture, and we are here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio trying to find out more about this this mysterious area, this domain of people living on the soil, working on the soil, and producing food, which we think comes from Food City. We somehow think that it comes with a package and wrapped, and it's in a box, and it has writing on all sides of it and looks very attractive. We think that that's where food comes from, and we forget that food comes from farms such as that run by Steve Bontekoe. His farm is Providence Mountain Farm on Sand Mountain, and Heritage Harvest Farms is effectively the harvest box that he and his colleagues put out. It's a CSA. That means community supported agriculture. But we say, as he does, it's a harvest box that lets you, my listener, connect with the harvest of local farmers. Steve, what is your work all about with the harvest box? Why is it an innovation? How is it a solution?
Sure. So my degree is in health, so that's something I really care about. We're looking to get healthy food to our community here in Chattanooga, but that starts on the farm. That starts with our farmers. We've got 9 Mennonite farmers that we're working with that have put together a box. This box is delivered every week to sites around town that enables people to reach out and get it without having to drive out to the farm. These Mennonite farmers have been farming for generations. They know what they're doing. They know what people want. They grow great produce, and we basically just take it in a box and say, hey, each week, how about we bring a share of that harvest into town, drop it off at a convenient place for the people that we want to serve, get them something healthier. A lot of people are thinking about that here around the new year. As we move into the growing season, May through October, we're going to be delivering a box every week so that the people can have a great local healthy solution at an affordable price. Our prices are better than you might think. He's holding up right now for the YouTube visitors a white sweet potato and an orange sweet potato. So we have some interesting things that you're familiar with, as well as some things that maybe are a little new to you. White sweet potatoes taste a little more like a regular potato, but they've got that sweet potato little bit of extra nutrients in them for you. So makes your wife happy because it's healthy for you, but yet it still has that sweet, good flavor that we all like.
So you mentioned price. How are these? These are both organic. These two sweet potatoes are both organic. How do they compare to what my listener could buy, say, at Harvest Grocery or at the organic food store downtown?
Sure.
The corporate chain.
We box up the produce, right? So every week it's going to be a little different in season. So in the fall, you're going to see sweet potatoes. You're going to see maybe some greens. You're going to see some pumpkins, which, I've got one here for the YouTube watcher. For those of you that are watching or listening on the over the airwaves, this is a beautiful 8-pound pumpkin that's smooth. It's almost like butternut inside, and it's really tasty. Those sort of things are going to be in your box come the fall. Over the summer, you're going to see things like squash and tomatoes. You're going to see, maybe a head of lettuce in there, some strawberries, a good assortment. And so, we're not putting a price tag per item on the things. We're putting a price tag on the box. We're $28 a box delivered. So that basically breaks down to wholesale pricing. If you were to go out, if you were the buyer at the grocery store that was buying for the grocery store before the markup, you're buying our box prices. So we're bringing it to town at wholesale pricing, which the farmer's happy with the price. We're still charging a margin for delivery. Don't get me wrong. We need to make money. This isn't charity, but we're bringing it to town at an affordable rate. This same box runs up to Knoxville. Our farmers are between Knoxville and Chattanooga. Same box runs to Knoxville at 33. So we've got some efficiencies that really make us competitive, and we pass those efficiencies on in the way of a reduced price to the people who want to buy it. So it's affordable.
Well, Steve Bontekoe, I'm holding for our viewer on YouTube some green leaves here, very rich looking, ribbed greens, full of veins.
Sure. You're holding up kale. I've got 3 different types of kale there. I've got a hybrid variety, which is very vigorous. I don't really like the flavor of it so well, but it's profitable in the sense it puts out a lot of leaves. It's the sort of thing you're going to find in the grocery store. The other 2 varieties are they're not quite as vigorous and productive, but man, are they that. The really raggedy one is Russian ragged kale. It's really tasty. It's really tasty. Stir fried up with a little garlic and olive oil.
Well, my listener has, let's say my listener and his wife agree, okay, we're going to invest in this. We're going to prepay for a certain period. Tell about that. And then it's $28 a box. How many people would be needed to consume all in right proportion all the fare in 1 week's box?
Sure.
Family of 5, family of 10.
Right. It depends on how many vegetables your family likes to eat. For one, let's be smart about this. If your family doesn't eat vegetables, it could be an infinite supply for you. But our box is pretty comparable to what I've seen other people say feeds a family of 4. My wife and I, we eat a lot of vegetables. She was raised, vegetarian, so she eats a lot more. I like a good burger, and I'll throw some kale on it as a green with some cheese, but I'm not consuming as much as she is.
Now, you're Steve Bontekoe. You're age 31, and your wife's name is Donnelly.
Yep.
And is she great with child? We hear.
Yeah, we're due any day. Actually, our due date is tomorrow, so. She's a little nervous about being out of the house right now.
That's number 2.
Yeah.
Steve Bontekoe runs Heritage Harvest Farms, which is effectively a community-supported agricultural company. Is it a company or just an outfit?
Well,
you're not incorporated, are you?
We are incorporated.
Okay.
Heritage Harvest Farms is incorporated. We are doing the delivery of the boxes for the 9 farmers. So we're basically like a co-op for the farmers. Doing the delivery aspect.
Well, say something about Mennonite farmers. Who are they, and what are their ideas?
So, I like to call them heritage farmers. They grow with horse and plow. They use no electricity. They use no telephones. They don't use propane. They do things the way you might think of in some 1800s period piece movie. But they
have suspenders on their pants.
They do. They have suspenders on their pants. I hesitate to call them Mennonite farmers all the time because nobody says, the Presbyterian farmer down the road grows the best tomatoes. So their religious beliefs aside, I think it's great. They work to glorify God and work hard at raising quality produce. But they'd rather the focus be on the fact that they're selling produce. And
Mennonites are often men and their wives who have many children. Do the children work as well on the farms that provide the food in your box, your harvest box?
They are family farms. The children will help out around the farm. It's predominantly the man that's doing the work on the field, but his boys will come help him. They learn how to work hard. We're not talking about child labor here. We're talking about boys that get to follow their dad around after school and work with their dad. It's really a cool thing. They don't hire any outside labor. You can feel good about the fact that that the farmer set the price of the food. They got a fair shake, and there's no labor being outsourced at prices that make you question human slavery.
Well, I think the fact that these are Christian people, Steve Bontekoe, would interest my listener, probably because there's in Christianity, there's a sense of personal responsibility that you have to your neighbor. Your duty is always to your neighbor. In the 8th commandment, which forbids theft, your duty is to make your neighbor prosper. You're always looking out to make other people succeed. And so the farmers who are your suppliers at Heritage Harvest Farms have have that sense of personal connection. And I think in a way, that's one of the points you're making to my listeners, that these are people who care personally about what goes out from their farms. It's not just a business. It's not just an industry. It really comes from their livelihoods. It comes from their persons to the person of the one who's dining on the pumpkin.
Yeah, I have one farmer that he refuses to sell produce that he doesn't think looks pretty. He says, "Listen, this is going out. It's got my name on it. People are expecting it to be a certain quality. There'll be an ugly looking pepper that I would think would sell just fine in the grocery store." And he says, "No, that one's going to the pigs. I can't sell. No, I need this box to look pretty." So we sell really nice looking stuff because we got to have this stuff looking pretty.
The good people in Washington claim to own the word organic through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Are the Mennonite farmers, the non-farmers that you, Steve Bontekoe, serve as distributor, are they organic farmers, or how do you describe in legal parlance their operations?
Sure. I describe them as sustainable farmers. So what
does that mean?
What does that mean, right? So yeah, it's a little bit tricky in the fact that, okay, you can have an organic application of fungicide. Okay, so we have high humidity here in the South. A lot of crops need a fungicide. Is it better to spray copper, which is a heavy metal, which can build up in the soil and then get into your food supply, which is organic, or something that man made in a laboratory? God gave us the ability to be creative and make things. Something made in the laboratory that doesn't have a long life on the soil. It doesn't have negative human effects, but it's made in a laboratory. It can't be organic. I would rather spray the laboratory made something that doesn't have a negative long-term effect on my soil and on the health of my customer than I would be la-di-da certified organic. Our Mennonite farmers don't.
Explain what you're saying.
What I'm saying is sometimes it's better to choose a sustainable method that doesn't have negative health impacts than it is to choose the certification with the 20% profit margin increase. Sometimes it's better to forego the certification in view of the long-term benefits to your soil, to your health.
And you're saying sometimes, you're suggesting, Steve Bontekoe, that some farmers who gain the organic certification are bringing long-term damage, but they have what looks good for sure. They have the label of organic.
Sure. I have a friend here locally that she was in the process of certifying organic. After 1 year of certifying organic, she saw decreased quality of her produce. She saw damage to her land, her soil microbiology. She's a scientist by trade, and she's looking at it going, this isn't sustainable because long term, I damage my ability to make an income. So she's doing away with and saying she's going to go sustainable, where she chooses what's best for the customer, health-wise, of what's going on in the product, and what's best for her land. Ultimately, they're in it for a long-term making money. They're not in it to run their customers away with chemical scares and killing their soil.
This is David Toulis. We're talking with Steve Bontekoe, who provides harvest boxes in several locations here in Chattanooga. We'll find out from him in a moment where some of them are. We're brought to you by P5 Preparedness with Duke Newcomb and his colleagues at P5 Preparedness, the store that has a show here every Thursday on preparedness ideas and ideals and methods and means. My name is David Toulis. Well, Steve Bontekoe, tell a little bit of how you got into this work. Some years ago, you were involved in a charter school as an administrator. You've had kind of a career change. Talk about the transition.
Sure. So I was in education for several years. There we are. I was in education for several years, and just kind of saw that we had a need out there. I dropped out of my doctoral degree to buy a farm and start farming. And as we saw that there was a need for distribution in farming, we jumped on board and started serving other farmers who we realized needed a little reprieve. Not everybody can do everything all at once. You can't be in 12 places at once. So we took the distribution off the fork of a lot of farms that we work with, and just reached out to other farms and said, hey, do you want us to do your distribution for you?
Well, where are the harvest boxes found right now, and what are your plans for future growth of your network?
Sure. So right now we are in preseason sales, so people can go out to our website bonteco.org, bonteco.org, to check out pictures of our boxes, descriptions of what they might find in a box, as well as we've got the listings of places you can find them. Right now, we've partnered up with Whole Foods Market, which is downtown on Manufacturers on the north side of the river. We've partnered up with Brash Coffee in Warehouse Row right there in the center of town. We've also partnered up with Covenant College, where we're dropping these boxes off on a given day in the week, leaving it with their staff and a list of names of people who have signed up. You come into the establishment, you pick up you go to the help desk, you pick up your box, they check off your name, you go home. Everything was paid already on our website for your convenience. We do monthly billing. You just pay at the beginning of the month. We deliver your green grocery needs for the rest of the month. It makes it easier on you, your wife, everybody.
So the listener or his sweetheart pays in advance by credit card.
Yeah.
And has the rate been set for this summer or this year?
Yeah. The rate is set. It's $28 a week, which boils down to $112 a month for the quick math there. So basically, if you're looking for your family, hey, we're looking to get our vegetables. You prepay at the beginning of the month. Every week on your given day, I drop it off. You've got a time window between 2 o'clock and when the business closes on that day to pick it up. Gives you the convenience of your scheduling to get there. And
so how many more outlets do you hope to have as distributors for your boxes?
We're going to pick up 2 or 3 more probably. We're not trying to spread ourselves so thin that we're hemorrhaging and have to jack the price up. We're trying to keep it streamlined, be lean, be affordable. And so we'll probably pick up a couple more areas of town, but right now that's what we're looking at.
My listeners thinking that sounds great, and I'm sure my wife would like to be involved in this effort, Steve Bontekoe, but we're going to be going out of town a month from now for 2 weeks on a family trip. How does it work then? Can my listener stop for a month and then pick up again later, or is there some kind of long-term commitment that he needs to envision?
So the commitment that we have laid out there on the website is people can sign up for May, June, July as a 3-month term, and they can sign up for August, September, October as a 3-month term. We'd prefer you sign up for 6 months, but for our crop planning, it's helpful to know that you're going to sign up for one or the other.
Is there a cash discount for prepaying the whole thing?
There's not, because we've already pretty much built the discount in there for you. We're not gonna bounce around making deals left and right. We're just gonna offer you the best price we can right out of the box. Be straightforward and run with it.
What's the biggest misconception my listener and I have about local economy and the food sector? What do we misunderstand about agriculture and our connection to it, Steve Bontekoe?
Sure. So there's hidden costs that you aren't seeing when you're buying something from a big business. There's 3 times the leverage of your money when you spend it locally. You've got 3 times more chances of seeing that money again. So it's recycling. I know, David, you've talked about this before, of how money gets recycled in the community, gets reused in the community. If you're buying it locally, you're putting money in the community that you're possibly going to be seeing again. The produce is not more expensive. It may be marked that way in some grocery stores, but that's where we're coming in with our harvest box, trying to change those conceptions.
So you're offering groceries at a competitive price, but you have this local connection that needs to draw my listeners' interest.
Right. So
price is a misconception.
Price is a misconception.
Is that the main one that we have?
That's a big misconception. The biggest thing is you're ending up with something fresher, which is healthier, because it hasn't sat on a shelf for as long.
What do you mean by that?
So it's not traveling from California. It's not. So from the time it's picked to the time that it is going in your face, it is it's losing nutrients over that time period. So the sooner you can get it off the plant and into you, the more nutrient dense it is. So if you're buying local,
give the website again, Steve Bontekoe.
Bonteco.org, Bonteco.org.
And that's a play on your name, which is a Dutch name, which means what?
Spotted Cow.
Spotted Cow. Well, this is David Toulis and Steve Bontekoe. Thanks for joining us here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Give that website again one more time.
Bontekoe.org. Bonteco.org. Or you can look us up on Facebook at Heritage Harvest Farms.
And Steve puts out the harvest boxes at 3 places thus far: Whole Foods downtown, Brash Coffee further down, kind of on the south side, and also at Covenant College. And he's looking to have a couple of more outlets. If you think you might be interested in being a drop-off point or a collection point for those who want to buy their vegetables, locally, regionally grown vegetables, check out.
We'll partner with local businesses if they have 10 or more people.
10 or more people. This is David Toulis. I've got some important things I want you to hear. Hang on.